great organization to be part of. Just know that Cascade Bike Club, whether you're a member or not, you can ride a lot of the events. But the purpose of Cascade is, to further cycling in the community. There's recreation rides, there's advocacy, a lot of things that benefit you, benefit the communities as well. So if you want to become a member, you can get a discount on this ride and then other rides. And there's Chili Hilly, there's just rides throughout the year that you can take some discounts on, and so your membership will pay for itself really quickly. Youth pricing, and then the STP 5-pack pricing, which they started last year. It's a significant discount on an entry to STP. So one of the things that at the end of this night, if you want to get together with other people who might be in this room who are interested in the 5-pack, you can share in that 5-pack. It doesn't need to be friends and family only. It can be strangers, but how it works is that one person will be the point of contact or the host to that 5-pack. They will make the purchase, and then they'll receive 5 coupon codes, and other people then can share in that price, whether it's Venmo or however you want to, share that. So there are other people in this room here who have not registered for it yet. So at the end, you guys can get together, maybe in that back corner, and share contact information. So from a Cascade standpoint, we're not so much concerned about the fact that there's not as much money coming in. The fact that we can get 5 people to register for STP and enjoy the ride, that's more the incentive here. And then if you register, you can always do add-ons later. So you're going to set up your own account with Cascade, register for the event, and then you can make decisions on lodging, make decisions on return transportation, and you can always purchase those after the fact, after registering, and you've got a few months to consider those things. Yeah, question?
Yeah, I think you just answered it, but is there going to be an established timeline on when you can make certain decisions, whether it's lodging, whether it's purchasing extra add-ons, that sort of thing?
Yeah, if I work backwards, one of the last things that is shut down is typically return transportation. So if you want return transportation, the buses and the trucks that Cascade rents to do that or hires to do that, once it gets to a certain point and it's, if they can round off a certain number of buses, that's when they're going to close. So they're not going to have an extra bus just hanging around. So,
date, but more of a first come, first serve kind of model.
Yes, so I would say transportation, and actually on the website they might have a specific date. But again, working backwards, I would say that as far as lodging goes, some of those locations operate on their own in association with Cascade, and if they fill, that location is going to close. But there's always going to be places that you can stay, and we'll talk about the fact that camping is available for free at Centralia and Chehalis. So there's always a place to stay. And again, hold your spot because you want to be here at the start line. Your rider packet that you will get with your registration. This year when you register, you can pay to have your packet mailed to you. Otherwise, you're doing the packet pickup, which is being organized to be a couple of days before the event itself. And then, of course, you can come the morning of STP, but you really want to get your items ahead of time so you can just kind of go through it and not fuss with it that morning. But there are a lot of people who pick it up in the morning. Your packet itself looks like this. There'll be a bib number made out of Tyvek, which is that tear-proof paper-like material. There is going to be a cardboard number matching that goes on your bicycle, and then a sticky that goes on your helmet. And that allows you to be visible, your number to be visible for those in front, because in cycling events, you're going to put that Tyvek number, the big bib number, on your back as low as you can if in your riding position, so it doesn't flap itself. Question? Yeah.
Are you able to pick up other people's packets?
Yes, you are able to pick up other people's packets. When you register, when they start sending out information electronically, you will receive a receipt of some sort, and then your friends will then forward that to you, and you can just go and show that information. Yeah. There is something else I was hoping to show here, if I have it here. Yes, I do. So pretend that's your packet, and this year, pretend that you're number 6809. And so what the bib contains here are some tear-off tags at the top and at the bottom. The two tags on the bottom are your luggage tags. You'll tear them off, and you're allowed to bring 2 bundled luggage, and typically someone will bring, a duffel or a travel bag, and the other one goes on the sleeping bag and sleeping pad bundled together. The other 2 tags that are on top, my advice is to leave them on there. As you get to the finish line, you can tear those off. One gets you 1 free food item at the finish line, and the other is a souvenir item at the finish line. Some people tear that off, and when they get to the finish line, they have no idea where the tag is. So just leave those on. Most importantly, perhaps on your bib number, on the back side is medical information. Most people will never see this because they're so fascinated with the front part here, but the back is actually first responder information. If you go down, this is what they have to respond to. Any allergies, who the contacts are as well. And if you're thinking, oh, okay, I'm riding with other people, I'm riding with a group, or a spouse, what have you, over 100 miles on a Saturday and a Sunday, people do separate. They'll split up, and they'll say, I'll meet you at the next mini stop. And so you're kind of riding solo for a while. And so this is something I recommend you filling out. Yeah, question? No? Okay. The start line is at the University of Washington Montlake parking lot. If you're not familiar with that, that's the lot that feeds Husky Stadium. There's a question right now because of the World Cup happening in Seattle, making use of some of the facilities. Not sure how that's going to affect it, but just that's one of the things that we haven't quite nailed down yet. It might be all okay and no effect, but the parking lot, if you come across Northeast 45th, like you would normally do to get to University of Washington, there's an entrance, it'll be signed, that brings you into the backside by the driving range, if you're familiar with that. And when you get in to this location here, first area of parking, actually, I think we're gonna need to move further in here, it's gonna be a place where people can park overnight. And so that parking is one of the add-ons if you want to leave a vehicle there at the parking lot, whether it's $10 an evening, $15, I don't recall, but okay, so it's either for just Friday night or Saturday or Sunday or combined as well. So that's probably why the price is that way. So that's an add-on that you can put on later, so you can make a decision on, do you need to have a vehicle there? Otherwise, people get dropped off further in, and people, if you struggle to get into the start line because it starts getting congested, then people start dropping people off either on campus or across the way at University Village, and people start trickling in as well.
Register, check in?
At the start line, if you've got your bib number, there is no check-in. You are ready to go. So if, we'll talk about how that all works as far as arriving at the start line itself. Any other questions about the start line? At the start line, there will be typically a mechanic, a place to get water. There'll be coffee this year from a sponsor, and again, the desk with registration that you can pick up your packets. And if you happen to get your packet and there's none of the safety pins in there, there's always the safety pins at the start line itself. And most importantly, probably, the baggage trucks. So when you register, you are registering for the route itself and all the permits it takes to get down there, but the luggage trucks are going to bring your baggage to where you want to overnight. For you one-day riders, it's going straight to Portland for some riders itself. And for the rest of you, again, this is where we figure out whether you're going to Centralia or further down the route. You will then look for the sign on the back of the truck that tells you where that truck is going to go. And you see the signs in different places. It says Napa Vine bag drop. So some of these trucks will have multiple locations, and they may be very specific, like Bethel Church, which is next to Napa Vine. So that might go into the same truck. So look for the signs. Volunteers are there to help you. Read the signs, ask questions so that your bag gets to the right location. If your bag doesn't get to the right location, it's because you didn't get it onto the right truck, because basically the truck is going to get it there. And then a tip is to take a picture of your luggage before you throw it in there in case there's any concerns. You can say, this is my bag to the volunteers. And then read the website and prepare ahead. I see a few questions, but let me get to the next slide. So there's baggage guidelines on the website itself. It'll tell you that you're limited to 2 bags, which is why there's 2 luggage tags. People kind of bundle them together if need be. And then again, typically if you are staying at the location where the baggage drop is, then you've got no problem getting your baggage to your tent. But if you are going to a hotel or going to someplace close by, make sure your luggage has like carry straps or a duffel that you can put across your handlebars and safely wheel it to the location. So I'll start with the question back there.
So suppose for a 2-day rider, can there be like multiple locations to go for the bags, or it's just one mid stop?
So you've got 2 luggage items, and I'm not sure maybe what you're alluding to, but if you aren't sure where you're going to,
No, I mean that's the question, right? Do we get to decide where to go if we are a 2-day rider, like what our pit stop or the stop is? Or
Yes. You are going to make a decision of where you're overnighting. And that's completely up to you, and your luggage we'll talk more about that as we get into lodging. Question behind?
Yes, is there any like the size of the luggage? I know that it's pounds each.
Yeah, I believe it's specifically written up there that 2 bags no more than 20 pounds each. It's think of the volunteers. This is a volunteer run event. Can a volunteer do it safely? Is that okay? If you are doing a bike box, for example, if that's your thought, bike boxes typically get thrown on the Portland truck because that's where you want the bike box. So if
Because I understand it could be very like light, but
yeah.
You know, I don't want to buy an extra bag and probably use this
Talk to me afterwards. Tell me what you're bringing. Yeah, there was another question over here.
So I have just a couple of questions because I can't quite read that.
Yeah.
So it's $5 to drop your bag off early the night before, or the day before?
Yes, I haven't talked about that yet, but yes.
Okay. The other thing I was going to ask was, is there a preferred strategy if you're dropping off a group, like multiple people stuff?
Okay. So I'm going to answer both of those. So the other option, rather than bringing your bags down and throwing it on the truck that morning, is they established a way of bringing gear down on Friday evening. So the start line will have kind of started up, and it's going to be people overnighting there in campers and such. But you can bring items there, such as you can bring your bike, you can bring your luggage ahead of time, and it's $5 per item, I believe, what specifically is going to be listed on the website. And you can leave it with the volunteers who are going to watch it there, and then it goes on over into the trucks the next morning. The strategy for some of the groups that ride is they don't come to the start line specifically, and so they bring their luggage there, and then they leave from Linwood or they leave from Redmond. And so instead of Seattle to Portland, it's Redmond to Portland or Linwood to Portland. So that's one option you can do. As far as groups coming into the start line itself, you see it every year. You know, people arrive at different times, and so individually you're going to bring your luggage to the truck itself. But when your group finally gets together and everyone's there, that's when you can officially, that's the wrong wording. That's when you can all decide as a group that you're ready to head out for the start itself.
I was thinking, like, if one person's to drop off multiple.
Yeah, they can. Yeah. As far as dropping off luggage, as long as the luggage has one of the official tags on it, it goes on the truck.
Is it difficult to get a car up to that space though?
You will not be able to get a car up there. It's going to be, maybe depending on where you're parking, could be 50 yards, could be 100 yards. People put it typically on their bike and then they kind of wheel it up there itself.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
So once you use your gear, your tent, whatever you're using, or your luggage, are you gonna be able to drop that off again at the trucks to bring it back, or that's where they give it to you and you're responsible for it?
You're talking about at the location?
At the location.
Yeah. So if you go back to this baggage timing information, which is on the website, it tells you when the baggage trucks are going to drop off at certain locations. So it's going to be dropped off before you get there, hopefully.
Yeah.
And then the next morning, it needs to be on the truck by typically 7 or 8 a.m.
Okay.
And that's listed on the location site as well. So all the trucks leave Sunday morning and head to Portland, except the Portland truck, which is already there. Yeah. And anything that is unclear, talk to me one-on-one later. One more question, then we need to keep going.
What happens if the baggage is not clean? Like, does it come back here?
Yes, it comes back exactly right here, right behind you, actually. Yeah, and that's lost and found for glasses, for bikes, and there's reasons why people don't come back, with their bikes, and everything ends up back here. And there is a fee that Cascade collects for their work in storing all those items there. So you come back, and if you want to pick up your bike, there's a particular fee for your bike. Oh, I should back up here. So again, that start line picture here, you can see various groups here. I know this group here tends to show up there from Vancouver. They get, in their tutus. People have various headgear and all this. So if you're thinking about decorating your helmet, decorating your bike, please do so. There are other people who are out there. Decades past, there was way more decoration and way more fun from that standpoint. People have gotten a little too much serious about their cycling, too worried about getting down to Portland. But really, it's a weekend of fun and recreation with 6,000 other riders. So decorate, decorate, decorate. And again, do your own thing. There's going to be typically, some type of unicyclist out there, big wheel or so. There's going to be tandems, of course, triples, quads. Youngest riders will be, on trail bikes like this or trailers. But younger solo riders can be anywhere from 8 to 12 years old. You'll see those out there. Oldest riders will be like in their 80s, perhaps. And so you're going to get to the start line. You can look around and you can say, "Wow, there's it's a menagerie of people of all fitness levels, people who are in full cycling kits, who are organized as teams, and there's other people who are just having fun. There's going to be people in t-shirts and cutoffs and all that. The people who are going to get to Portland with a big smile are the ones who are in it for that weekend to have fun, okay? And they've trained for the ride, and maybe they've come to a class like this, so they know what they're into for the weekend itself. And the ones who are maybe going to have a miserable time are the ones who are going to be, the racers who are worried about their time and they're not making their time and they get a flat and they're, so make it a recreation ride that is fun for you that weekend. So set your goal appropriately. And again, decorate if you can. There's a lot of Luigi and Marios out there, by the way. Cascade Bike Club has this Ride Smart acronym. I won't go through all this, but if you go on any of their rides, on the daily rides, they will quote these things: stay alert, maintain space, act safely and predictably, respect the rules of the road, think ahead, and talk. This is all on the website. And here we go, ride.
Austin, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So what time do you have to be there to take advantage of the countdown? You don't have to worry about that. Between the hours of 5 o'clock to 5:30 is the one-day riders, 5:30 to 7:30 two-day riders, and this countdown and these waves go continuously. So Lee Lambert up there is the director, and he's typically up there, and he's going to say, next wave in 3 minutes, and people just like we were talking about, a group strategy. Well, Peter's coming out of the porta potties, and Joan's done with getting the pins on her bib, and everyone's together. Are we ready? Yes, you're ready. And then so you just go into the next wave. It doesn't depend on your bib number at all. It just you're ready to go, and you head out. So the peak period is typically around 6 o'clock to 6:45-ish. So, and this goes with the parking lot itself. So if you want to get into the parking lot with less congestion, try to get in, before 6, and then it may get congested, and then you can come later if your friends just want to drop the luggage off. And that's actually one of the strategy things is if someone has the luggage in their vehicle and you want to go on the ride and the start, and the luggage is still in their car, that's fine. You can go off on the ride, and they just need to get the luggage onto the truck before the end of the start line service.
What time do the luggage trucks start moving?
Well, the services are as listed 5:30 to 7:30 for the two-day riders. So 7:30 is pretty much the last wave until they'll start heading out at some point after that. So just make sure you're not one of the last ones. So the other strategy here is I mentioned the peak period between 6 o'clock and 6:45-ish. This is something you will want to consider then as far as, do you want to ride with the group or do you want to ride more individually? And so what I mean by that is, and this is where you want to consider your pace as well. So if you're, 10 and 12 mile per hour rider and say, other people are riding 12 to 14 miles per hour, they're going to pass you, obviously. But if you want to be part of the festivities and feel that energy, you want to start early, because there's always going to be faster people who then kind of pass you up, and you're still part of the event, right? If you are leaving towards the end of that congestion period, and you are, let's just say, a rider that's not as fast, then the ride kind of moves south, and you are, further back, and that's okay too. There are a lot of people who purposely want to ride in a less congested scenario, and I've ridden years back where I hadn't trained as well, and I just kind of rode at the back, and it's just another way of experiencing STP. One of the things, though, is you want to look at your pace, do your math, because those services, and there's specific times that are listed that those services are available for food, then you need to get there, at least half an hour or 45 minutes before those services start shutting down. So we're heading down south towards the Arboretum, if you're familiar with the University of Washington area. And if an officer kind of waves you through, then go ahead and go through that stop sign or what have you. But otherwise, you're following all rules of the road. And we will have officers in various locations as the permits require throughout the route, and they'll just kind of make things safe. But we are not cordoning off the road unless there's certain areas where we're trying to get into some of the food stops. But otherwise, you're going to be on the road riding with the regular flow. So how do you know where you're going to go? Well, when you pick up your packet, or actually if you look at the website right now, there'll be a map that shows you the route itself and all the turns that are coming up on STP. Left at some point across and go across the railroad track. And I'll go ahead and pass this around if you want to take a look. Again, this is last year's, and the information is on the website itself. But otherwise, you're not necessarily going to be looking at that, but you might want to bring that with you. How you're really going to be following the route is you're going to be looking for these directional arrows painted on the shoulder of STP, and I'll tell you, you'll be turning left at the upcoming intersection, or you'll be turning right here. This person is actually stopped at a stop sign itself, going to be turning right there. And then if you see a arrow that points straight, you're going straight. But you're not going to always see the straight arrow, because basically if you don't see an arrow, that means you're going to go straight through. The straight arrow is typically painted if a volunteer thinks there's going to be confusion at a location, or you'll see this painted on the opposite side of an intersection that says, yes, you are still on the route correctly. And you can see how where it might be located on the shoulder. Here we're going to be going down here, so they kind of modify that for a left turn there. And then when we get down to the Oregon side, Department of Transportation in Oregon doesn't allow us to paint on the roadway, so our partners, the Portland Cycling Club, actually puts these orange signs up. So you'll see that down there. And again, if it doesn't feel right, check your map, which is why you carry it with you. And some people will download the GPS route itself. And if it doesn't feel right on STP, because there's 6,000 or so riders out there, you should be able to see someone coming up behind you, in whatever, 30 seconds. So go ahead and give it a stop, drink some water, and if someone's not coming up behind you after a minute or so, you might check your map and start heading back. Here we go down Lake Washington Boulevard itself, and here's where we talk about group riding. You can see here we're kind of grouped out 6 abreast here, forcing our fellow riders across the yellow line here. And you're going to see that in certain locations, and certainly early in the morning like this. But this is where we want to talk about riding safely, riding with etiquette, and riding legally. No more than 2 bikes abreast itself, and then if we're impeding traffic, then single file, and then creating a gap so that cars can pull in as well. But in a group like this, when these guys pass on the left, they're probably also signaling, on your left. So if nothing else, if you've been out riding on the trails, you'll hear on your left means someone's passing you. But when you're riding in a group like this, you're going to hear all kinds of other signals. People are going to be calling out road hazards. They're going to be calling out the right turn, left turn. So you know your hand signals, right? Left turn, right turn. You can use this hand as well. And they're slowing and stopping. But typically, and more so the slowing and stopping, it is yelled out and it is passed on back. So if you're in this group, you hear someone yelling, slowing, stopping, you're also yelling, slowing and stopping, and it gets passed back. Road hazards, typically people point at it and right around the left side of it. Everyone does that, and so it's passed on back so that the people behind know what's up in front there. So if you have not ridden in a group before, try not to make STP the first time you ride in a group, because there's a lot of opportunities between now and STP. Could be other significant, Cascade events like Chili Hilly or Flying Wheels and such. But also, Cascade Bike Club has these daily rides, and if you go on the website, go look for daily rides, and they start increasing in numbers when spring hits. And almost every day, particularly on weekends, they have rides that start in different locations, different distances, different paces, and you don't need to be a Cascade member to participate in those. So with that said, I know there's a lot of hesitation for some people, so just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and find a ride that works for you, register for it, go out, and you'll be surprised at the number of other novice riders that are out there with you, especially in the steady or the leisurely paces. Question?
Well, I looked up a lot of those rides, and most of them require that you know how to change your own flag or chain, basically be a bike mechanic. And so I'm very intimidated to go on any of those rides, because I can't do any of those things, but I can certainly ride my bike.
So like anything, they're going to throw out the thing that they want everyone to be able to do. Someone else was talking to me about fenders, but there's group leaders, and there are other riders who know how to do those things. So yes, you ideally would like to have some knowledge, and Cascade Bike Club itself teaches those classes, and so look for those. In fact, there was a Fix-A-Flat earlier this evening. So look for those things, and you can learn those things. But otherwise, you might learn just on the fly in an event, or excuse me, on a daily ride. If someone has a flat and people start helping, you just kind of look over and just you'll be amazed what you learn. So it's all about learning, and yeah, don't let those things intimidate you. Yeah. Even if you are just training solo out there on Burt Gilman Trail or Sammamish Trail or what have you, and someone is on the side with a flat, people riding by say, you got what you need or you need help. And so one of the things that you want to do, though, is if you don't know how to fix a flat, is at least have the inner tube that fits your bike, have the items that you can use, and they can help you with that. So we can talk more and more. We can talk more about those later.
Little small kits that are little Cascade. I had a flat tire on my way to work about 6 months ago, and it just takes. You don't even. I haven't done it.
Go ahead.
It's part of the question, like, we don't need to stick to one road for your journey, right? Again, because we also
For STP?
yes.
Oh, STP, as I mentioned earlier on, people find their own pace, and even if you're riding with your spouse or best friend, people will say, I'll meet you at the next stop, and then they'll just say, you know what, I'll just meet you at the overnight location. So no, you are riding with other people out there who are riding the pace that you're riding. So you're going to end up with dozens of new friends by the end of that day, because you're going to see the same people over and over at the food stops, and you're riding at their pace. So yeah, you will ride with different groups, and you'll end up, like I said, just meeting other people. So we talk a lot about, we've talked a lot about, riding with other people, but if you are here because you are riding solo as well, just know that there's 5,999 other riders out there, and you're going to meet other people, and you're going to be able to ride their pace. So we're going to be riding through neighborhoods, urban thoroughfares. We're going to be using multi-use trails, rural highway shoulders. So if you are curious about what that could look like, a microcosm of this is the Lake Washington Loop. So a great training route is the Lake Washington Loop. Google it, say Lake Washington or bicycle Lake Washington Loop, and it'll give, and several people will probably have different routes that they will pop up, and you just download that. But I like to do the counterclockwise Lake Washington Loop because it'll go down Rainier Avenue, which we're riding, goes through neighborhoods, goes through the city of Bellevue, so you got some city riding, and then the climb from Juanita Beach up to Finn Hill is a training hill that is most similar to the hills that you're going to see on STP, the Puyallup Hill in particular. So again, the website itself will have this map here where you simply will hover over these locations and services, and you'll see what the services are and the times that they're available. And then that kind of expands out if you use the scale here. And then note down below here is the elevation for the ride itself. And yes, the hill looks like that. But no, don't worry, that this is, by scale, and the ride stretches out 200 miles. But if you look at the, if you match this up actually, I think it's the next page I have here. Yes, there we go. So they actually updated it this year. So these different locations here, this is the Puyallup Hill, and it'll match up with one of these locations. It's going to be down in this area here. Yeah. And so there's different hills to note, and we'll talk about some of the other hills. So there's the Spanaway Hill, which is closer to the Juanita Hill that I just kind of mentioned. So also on the website, we'll talk about the various schedules for the event itself, including the timing of the food stops and the rest stops itself. So about every 10 to 20 miles or 25 miles, there's going to be some type of support. The first location where there's support is Seward Park, for example, which is going to get you to about 12 miles down, and another 10 miles or so will get you the first free food stop, which is the IKEA down in Renton, which we started last year. So this location actually worked quite well. There's going to be mechanics at the free food locations and medical stations. Let's back up here. Let's not back up. Let's go this. So at the free food locations, it's going to be plenty of opportunity to refill your water bottle, etc. So the volunteers are out there busy, filling up those canisters itself. So the important part here is to hydrate, and then make sure that you are using the porta potties, because if you're not using the porta potties, then you're not hydrating enough. So how much should you be drinking? Rule of thumb is 1 water bottle an hour. That's a rule of thumb. And over the next 4 months or so while you're out training, just kind of get to know what your intake level is. I know I can't get one of those 24-ounce bottles down in an hour myself. So I know that, and when I'm out there, again, if I'm only halfway through the bottle, then I'll just go ahead and make sure that I drink that. So the hydration electrolyte replacement drinks can be anything from like Gatorade to this year might be Tailwind, which is another brand itself. Find what works for you over the next few months. Try Gatorade, try Tailwind, and if they upset your stomach, then when you get to these locations and you see that's what's there, you avoid those. So if you use Noon, if you use any other item that works for you, those come in tablets and powder form, and just bring those with you itself. Bring 2 water bottles, fill 1 water bottle with electrolyte replacement that works for you, and another one with water. The bike I have up here, for example, the Gatorade bottle fits right in the holder itself. So I like to just kind of reuse those bottles itself. And so aside from the free food stops, there's mini stops about every 10 to 15 miles. And here's a mini stop volunteer. So that's kind of what you'll see at some of these mini stops. You see the activity behind there, and then you've got the volunteers who've ridden it before, volunteers who have maybe been kids and served up some of these foods for you, and then now they're grown up and they're in charge of these things. So the mini stops are charity organizations that are raising money. This is Tenina High School basketball. There's Rotarians, there's other things out there. So other than the free food stops, the charity stops are where you are going to either use credit card or bring cash for that. The hill that we talked about, right? So the cool thing about the Puyallup Hill is that it starts off at an intersection with a traffic light. So if you see the green traffic light, you just kind of want to continue your momentum. But if you are at the red light and you're all bunching up, there's going to be someone who says, "Is this the hill?" And someone says, "Yeah, this is the hill." And then the light turns green, and everyone starts hooting and hollering. They kind of go in attack mode for some people, and then in about a minute, it's all quiet. It's, all you can hear is people breathing. It's a mile and a quarter, about 6% grade. Just it's the thing about it is you can see right here is you don't know where it goes, right? So you round that bend, and then you see something else like that, and you say, "Oh, that's the summit," but it's not. It's just another bend. So there's like a few bends, and you'll get up there. And then the other nice thing again is it's got 2 lanes in one direction here. So we do have a lane that cars can go up. And you see something here? People are walking up the hill. So if this is your challenge and you need to walk up this hill, go ahead and walk it, get to the top. You still have a day and a half of STP to enjoy, okay? Don't kill yourself right there. But again, you've got 3-4 months here to train. And so Juanita Hill or whether other hill you train on, you might be walking some of it one day. Other days, you're going to feel really good. But the thing is just keep going back and train on those hills, and you'll begin to enjoy it. Other hills that are of note is Napa Vine. There's more of a grade. It's called Napa Vine grade. Vader has a short hill that climbs right out of town. And then Lewis and Clark Bridge, we'll show a picture of that, is a nice big hill. And St. John's Bridge, as you get to Portland, is the final hill. So at the top of the hill, we get up here, and sometimes the route goes that direction, sometimes it goes this direction. But what I want to point out here is how people will just kind of sometimes stop right on the shoulder, forces their fellow riders out there. And this is a state highway here. So all you need to do is go up another 50 yards or so, pull off completely, and everyone's safe, right? So if you're out training, if you're out riding STP or any other event, if you need to stop, pull off the road itself, pull off the lane of travel, which is the shoulder. Food stops, the energy replenishment items will be sticky items like oranges and grapes itself. So you want to wash your hands after eating that stuff. But the other items, such as these snacks here, are packaged. You can bring those with you. Okay, so you don't need to spend your half an hour, 45 minutes just there eating everything. You can eat what you want and then bring the rest with you so you can eat along the way. Oh, another happy volunteer. So why do I have 2 slides here with happy volunteers? I want to show you the support that's out there. The community turns out to help you get down to Portland itself. And they do a lot of work. So thank them when they're out there. Their organization's making some money that weekend, but they're putting a lot of effort to help you get down to Portland safely. Buffet etiquette. Take what you can, but take only what you will eventually eat. So I mentioned earlier on, figuring out your pace that will get you down to some of these services within the service hours. As you get late, if you start arriving later in those service times, typically the menu is starting to deplete. So there'll be food, but you might not have the breadth of food. So, again, just don't waste the food that's out there itself. The other hot item these days are pickles, pickle juice. She's going to grab a pickle here. So if you come across some of these locations that have pickle shots, they're free. Give it a go. And it'll be a sunny day, of course. Find people to talk to. People come from all over the U.S. and internationally, too. So I couldn't put everything here, but there's Hawaii, there's all kinds of stuff. So people again from everywhere. This is statistics from a way past year, but on that particular year, 45 of the 50 states are represented. Here it shows you the logistics that it takes to put an event like STP on. I guess one of the things that stays fairly constant, 1 in 4 STP riders are women, and about 1 in 4, if not 2/5 of the riders might be one-day riders. And then as far as your bike, you can ride almost anything as long as it's safe. Make sure it's in safe working condition. take it to your favorite bike shop, learn basic bike maintenance. We talked about that. Cascade has it. RAI has classes. Make sure it is safe for you. Get the bike fitted to you by a shop or a PT. Here's something to note. Your health insurance coverage may cover it if you talk to your doctor about injury prevention. So I talked to my doctor, actually the assistant, about wanting to stay active and wanting to make sure I'm not injuring myself on some of these things. So I got a referral for PT work, which includes a bike fit. So check that with your insurance itself. Options on how to carry gear with you. Here's a bike that can, for example, work well on STP. There's an under saddle wedge. You can see you can just throw a basket on, water bottle cages, and then on this, I'll just go ahead and show what I have in my bag here typically. Whoops. Payday, right? You're not going to get payday at some of those stops, so, and a recess. So there's a lot of healthy stuff out there, so you got to carry the stuff that you really want there. But when you are taking like the bike maintenance classes, they'll tell you about the right tools to bring, tire levers, the right inner tube. If you're not bike savvy, bring your bike into your favorite shop, and they will tell you which inner tube actually goes to your bike, and then tools itself. One of the things that I do carry, and this is particularly for training and not so much STP, is I do carry a small travel lock like this. So people will ask, do I need to bring a lock on STP? And I'm not going to say no, because I don't want anyone coming back in July and say, hey, my bike disappeared. But bikes have not gone missing during the ride itself. The finish line is another matter, and we'll talk about that. But I carry just this travel lock here. It's a little 30-inch coil here. And what that allows me to do is throw it, the wheel into the wheel in the frame, and maybe something more sturdy. So that when I'm out training, if I need to stop at an AM/PM market, I can. If I have to leave it outside, I'm less worried about someone dashing with my bike. And then on STP, because there's 6,000 bikes out there, if yours is locked up, someone else is going to take the other bikes and not yours. So that is one thing to consider. And then as far as you being fit, you can ride STP safely by making training fun. Have a plan, ride with others. We talked about riding with Cascade. Think about training as far as saddle time goes as in conjunction with mileage. So most of the things that you're going to see are mileage charts and people, writing articles about mileage and all that. But a lot of us only have a certain amount of time to train. So you get home, and you have to make dinner or whatever, and you have a half an hour of daylight. Go out for a ride, riding for that half hour. Don't worry about the mileage. Just get out there and try to start incorporating back-to-back days, because that's important, is riding back-to-back days. Be sure training isn't just on the stationary bike. Look for hills, enjoy hills. Options on what to wear. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I will say again, so when you register for STP, we talked about the things that you're going to get there, and then you're going to have to figure out your overnight lodging, whether that you're paying for an overnight location or free camping, and then return transportation perhaps. But otherwise, you don't need to spend a whole lot of other money. A lot of people will come to these classes and ask me about specific bikes. Can they ride an STP? And we can do that as well at the end of the class. But for the most part, if your bike is looked at, as we talked about in the previous slide, you can do that. But as far as bike clothing specific, the only thing that specifically I would consider is bike shorts. And I'm wearing a pair of bike shorts, Zoic itself, and underneath this is actually this item, which has padding. So it makes you more comfortable on the bike, of course, and it doesn't have seams in the wrong places that cause you to chafe. The nice thing about the Zoics is if you have this, then you can ride with like other shorts that might be more favorite to you than cycling shorts. But other than that, these tights I have here, this right here, Costco, all right? So as long as it's not cotton, it's like technical wear that can wick, you're going to be okay. Cycling gear, yeah, it's going to be more efficient. So I'm not going to say don't get those, but I also don't want people to feel intimidated about what they have to invest in for STP. We talked about training charts for mileage. This is the old training chart that has turned into the spreadsheet. This is on the website itself. So it'll tell you in a particular week how many miles that Coach Craig Undham thinks that you should be riding. And so again, know that it is a fitness coach, a cycling coach who actually raced internationally. So is there a question out there that someone wants to throw out? Oh, come on. Okay, I'll throw it out there. What's the minimum you can train and do STP, right? That's on everyone's mind. So rule of thumb, 2/3 the distance. So about a month from STP, if you can ride comfortably, back-to-back 70-mile days, you're going to be fine doing back-to-back 100-mile days. The more you train, the better you are, right? The less injury that you might have and the faster you'll recover. But I don't want people to be overly intimidated about trying to keep up with that chart. Yes?
What about 1 day? 1
day? So 1 day, the only year I did the 1 day, we did a 120-mile ride, and I was fine. But again, if you can do 2/3 the distance of 200 miles, the better you are. At the end of May, Cascade Bike Club has an event called Flying Wheels, which is out in Sammamish. And they say that if you do the Century ride, the 100-mile ride, because you're still like a month and a half from STP, and you do that and you feel good about it, you're in good shape. Yep. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Businesses will help us out, even if you don't buy items there. They've got those mist makers up there cooling you down. But again, if you want a Snickers bar or a Payday bar, feel free to go in there and help them out. Yeah, question?
Are there any tips to visit these shops, like where you keep your bikes so that it's safe, or that you ask the fellow riders?
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about that as we get to the lodging here. So as we leave Spanaway, we either are going through JBLM, which is Fort Lewis McChord Air Force Base area, or we go down towards Roy on the State Route Highway. It depends on the negotiations for the year, so I don't know which way we're going to go. Last year we were able to go through JBLM. But this is the area where after, at this point, you can see a lot of people starting to draft each other, and what drafting means is person is riding through the air, and another person is going to come up right behind, and the closer you are and the faster you're going, the more energy you're saving. You can save like 2/3 of your effort, depending on, again, how fast and how close you are. So again, STP, not the ideal place to be the first time you draft. So in the next 3-4 months when you're out training, find people that you can draft with, go on a group ride. Even if you only have one other person that you're riding with, give it a go. Start 2 bike lengths apart to feel comfortable with it. And as you get closer and closer, and it might take you, a few weeks to feel comfortable doing that, you'll start feeling that advantage. But the thing about riding in a group like this, again, just like we talked about etiquette in group riding in the earlier slide, pace line riding, which is, pace line is when a bunch of people draft, there's etiquette in communication. And basically, if you are drafting someone, let them know you're back there. Say, on your wheel, drafting, or cough, make sure they hear you. And if they look back and they say, no drafting, please, you just kind of back off, okay? Not everyone wants someone on their wheel, especially if you're out just trying to do a recreational ride itself. It's all okay. Crossing railroad tracks, cross as close to 90 degrees as possible to avoid your wheel flopping into that rut. The other thing is, if you're out training early in the morning, sometimes the steel rail is a little slick. So again, just be careful with that. If there's tracks to be concerned with, we'll throw sand in there or cover it with carpet and have a volunteer there directing you across. When you're out training in the next few months, no volunteers out there. So go ahead and heed this and cross as close to 90 degrees as possible. Finally, we're coming into Centralia, which is the halfway point, but the slideshow is more than halfway through, so don't worry about that. As you enter Puyallup up here, you're going to have kids out there spraying you down with hoses and all that. And this house right here off to the side here always throws this up as you come into the college area. So take advantage of that. Now you've got photo opportunities here. People from Marathon Photo will be taking pictures throughout the route itself. And so when you see them, give them a wave, say if you think about whether you want to look pouty in a picture or smiling in a picture, this is your opportunity to do the right thing. Because when you are done with the ride, a few days later, you're going to get an email from Marathon Photo that has these digital images that you can purchase, and typically they're pretty cool, and you can download all of them for a pretty good price. I won't even throw the price out there because I'm not sure anymore. But you'll be impressed with it. You can say, hey, I didn't know there's a red barn there. I didn't know, this and that. And then suddenly you've got these images that will remind you of STP. So that's pretty cool. Here we are getting into Centralia College itself. And you can see people already setting up tents here because it's already 5:45. And you can see people still riding through. So as you get later into the day, you'll start seeing, more and more people just kind of setting up camp here. It's also rooms in the dorms and all that. And if you go to the lodging page, it tells you, the rooms are available for a certain price, and there's spaghetti feeds, and there's different other things that you can pre-purchase. But otherwise, know that there's camping available out there for free. And then there's going to be people continuing on down to the next location, Chehalis, Napavine, Winlock. And this is, again, where you figure out your training and what your pace is and how much you want to get done on the first day. Because ideally, no, I shouldn't say that ideally. Most people actually stay in Centralia because that's kind of the official location, halfway point, and there's a lot going on. But a lot of other people want to get more of the event done the first day. And you also end up getting some of the hills done the first day, and that way you have a shorter ride the next day. So if you can get down to Napavine, if you can get down to Winlock, if you can get down to, even down to Castle Rock. I was going to say Castle Rock because I don't know if there's an overnight location there this year. They did it for many years, the high school there. But there's different locations, churches along the way, and you'll find that in the lodging information. Here's the lodging information that's on the website. And so it will tell you all the various amenities that you will get at those locations, what your money is going to get. So if you're paying, $45 or $50, are you getting food with it? All these locations you are getting showers. But depending, if you want to just be in a room with, throw down your sleeping pad and your sleeping bag, those are going to be gymnasiums, classrooms, that's going to be available. Some of the churches have some private locations as well. So again, just go to those locations and look at it. Bethel Church on the upper right here, been with us for decades, and they're always very popular, and they're right before Napavine. Yes, question?
So you mentioned about these locations, but they have to be in sync with the truck that we chose for the baggage, right?
Yeah, so all these locations that are on the site are synced with the baggage drop for Cascade. So if you happen to be going to a hotel, hotel in Centralia or Chehalis, your bag is going to be at the college and the park, and then you'll have to get your bag to those locations. But otherwise, these locations are in sync with the luggage trucks, and some of them that are maybe subsets, the volunteers there will help you get your luggage to the location. Yeah. Question? Go ahead.
What time do the luggage trucks usually stop taking bags the next morning?
I believe it's 8 a.m., okay. But it could be 7, and 7 seems to be a little early. So anyway, it's on the site itself. So here's the deal. You can see free camping here available. Bike corrals, you were talking about security. So there are security locations, bike corrals at these locations that will, again, the charity is making a little bit of money on it, so they might charge you, some fees to do that. But otherwise, if you are camping and you simply want to lock your bike next to your tent, that's where you want to throw your lock into your overnight bag if you don't carry it with you. Yeah, go ahead, question.
So about that, the split stop, so we like choose it like way ahead of time, right? Or it just depends on, I decide in the morning, okay, this truck looks cool, I put my bag and then I get to stop at that location.
So over the next few months, while you're training, you're going to say, wow, I train at, 10 to 12 miles per hour, or I train at 14 to 16. That'll give you an idea how far you can get the first day. So that's where you decide, okay, I'm going to stay in Centralia because that's where the party is. Or I'm going to stay in Winlock so I can get some of the hills out of the way. That's up to you. Then you go to the site and you make your connection with that host. You will work directly with that host, the Winlock School or the Napa Vine School. And then that Saturday morning of STP, you are throwing your luggage onto that truck that's going to that location.
So already decided way before the rest.
Right. So your luggage is going to be laid out in a scenario like this. Think of it just like the airport. And so a lot of people can, access your luggage there. So go ahead and keep your, most valuable things with you. And then also if you want to waterproof your content, stick your items in plastic bags and then stick it in your luggage. And that'll keep your contents dry a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and take that question.
When you say that Australia is like the party spot, is there a band? I mean, what's there's a lot of people there, but like.
Yeah, there'll be a band. When you get to Centralia, there'll be a band. There'll be a beer garden. There'll be booths, but there won't be those things at the other locations.
So you can actually hang out there for a minute and then head out to the other.
You can, if you are not overnighting, you can hang out there at the beer garden and continue on as well. Yeah. I just want to move along a little more quicker here, and then I'll take some questions one-on-one at the end. But if you have, there are questions about e-bikes, and if you want to go to this particular site, and you can write that down, or you can talk to me later. There's some information about e-bike charging. Community spaghetti breakfasts are available again if you look at the amenities. The next morning, there is people leaving from Centralia all the way down to even Longview itself. So there's no start line. People are, if you're starting to hear tent poles coming down, it's probably like 5 a.m. in the morning. It's like, oh, okay, it's time to get up, and it might still be dark. So people get going. They have their breakfast, and this is the Winlock School at 7 a.m. when I took that photo. You see everyone's gone. So people do not dally the next morning. They just kind of head on out because it's going to be a sunny day. And when you're riding out there, you want to make sure you see the world's largest egg at Winlock. We're not going to see the Yardbird this year, but there's going to be lemonade stands that you want to note. There's on-road support out there. There's going to be about 10 to 12 cars in communication with each other. They are in communication with the volunteers that are in this location here. What's the word I'm looking for? The hotline. So on your bib itself, it's going to be a phone number. If you need help, you are going to call that phone number, and they will dispatch a support car to go and help you out. And they are going to be able to take your bike, if it's a mechanical failure, to the next mechanic. They might take you to the next mini stop, but they are not taxis that are going to take you to your overnight location. Okay, so you need to make sure that you are trained to get down there. And there's other support riders out there, support drivers out there who might be able to get you down to where you need. But otherwise, hopefully, they'll just get you to a mini stop. There's going to be motorcycle volunteers of Goldwing Touring Association. They used to be more out on the route, but now they pretty much get us across the Lewis and Clark Bridge into Oregon. 80 safety riders out there, EMTs, firefighters, they're outriders. If you've been on a Cascade ride, outriders are the volunteers that are out there. Sometimes you even run into this where everything comes together, an outrider helping a safety rider. This is next to the medical tent for the Vader mini stop, and then a support driver who is taking this picture. So everything kind of comes together. Roadside refreshments. So other than the food stops and the mini stops, look for the free items out there. neighbors along the way just put out cold water. They'll put out, there's lemonade stands that are available. And then here's, again, a support car with water in the back. So we're kind of watching you all the way down the route itself. Personal support vehicles. So here we go. All the happy volunteers that are out there, and then all the lemonade stands and the neighbors who are helping you out. You don't need your spouse or your friend driving along with you. But we know that's going to happen, so we provide a map that's online available so that drivers can get to these locations but not drive down the route. We don't need to add more cars to the route. Your last food location in Washington State is Lexington, but people don't know where Lexington is, so Longview, right? It's right next to it, because Longview is right off I-5 itself. And then as you leave Lexington, Longview, you're going to be heading south of the border across the Lewis and Clark Bridge. And what we do is amass you on a side road here and then caravan across in this safe way. And this is only on Sunday for the 2-day riders between about 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. Outside of those hours, the riders are very spread out. 1-day riders are very spread out at that point. You can ride across the bridge, but just when in our peak period, it's a little congested, so we caravan you across. Here we go, still going. So when we're down on Highway 30, which is the last 50 miles or so before you get into the city of Portland, it goes from 4-lane highway, 2-lane highway, 4-lane highway through some of the communities there, but there's always a nice shoulder pretty much, and it's rolling hills and no stops along that way. And then when you get finally into the Portland area, actually, before you get to the Portland area, your last food stop is going to be at St. Helens. It used to be at the high school. It's going to be at another school. But thank the volunteers. I've said that repeatedly for the last hour. Okay, so now this is when you're getting there, right? So the St. John's Bridge is going to take you off of Highway 30 finally, and you're going to go into a residential neighborhood that takes us to the finish line itself. But you're down here, and you need to get up there. So this is your last hill. And even when you get on the bridge, it's a little climb here. And then when you get to the residential area, nice streets, it takes you towards the finish line here. Because you came to the class, the helpful hint here is you know that there's going to be a lot of stops in that last part as you get into Portland. So whereas other people are going to be riding next to you saying, dang it, all these stops. You already know that. I'm telling you right now, stop lights and stop signs. So just enjoy it. Just know I'm almost there. And when we get to the finish line itself, instead of downtown Portland here, we're on the Rose Quarter side of things with Lloyd Center here. So we're going to cross St. John's Bridge here, come through the residential area, and then down this way. And we are going to finish at Holiday Park. And this map here is in the website itself. And here we go. This is what it looks like with people. Here's what it feels like. So you feel that energy there, and the energy is because of all the people who are cheering people in. So when you get to the finish line and you take those accolades and you go and enjoy the finish line, please come back to the finish line chute and cheer other people in. It'll be something that if you didn't do, I'd say that you've missed a big part of the finish line itself is watching other people come through. So we talked earlier on, at the start line, you can see people, in all type of gear and all type of fitness levels. So, here we go, shorts and t-shirt, basket in front, but she did register. So she trained for months and coming in with a smile. And then you got people, wearing the STP garb and all that. And again, they're crossing with a big smile here because, they had the right attitude going into this. And if you're not in a group and you're riding solo and you see signs at the finish line, those signs are meant for you too, okay? They were written for someone else, but just say, hey, that sign's for me. There are host hotels at the finish line that's on the website, and know that your baggage is now undercover in the exhibition hall at the adjacent hotel, the DoubleTree itself. And if you're going to take return transportation, and that's information that's on the website itself, which is a fee to take the bike back and you on a bus, and you can take any combination of that. You can just get your bike back on a truck, or you can just get your bike or get your bus ticket. Sorry. Those are available online in any combinations, because some people are coming back in different ways, on friends' cars or Amtrak and what have you. But the trick here is when you get down there, go ahead and throw your bike onto the trucks that are being loaded up, because the trucks will take about 400 bikes and the buses will take about 85 people or so. So the buses fill up first, right? So if you throw your bike onto the truck at the same time you get on the bus, your bus is going to come back to the University of Washington well before your bike is going to get there. So throw your bike onto a truck and then enjoy the finish line. And that way your bike is going to be at the finish line, start line, at the University of Washington before you get there on the bus. That's because we're over an hour into this. And again, there's places down at the finish line to freshen up. There are no showers, but there'll be hoses, and then places that you can go inside here. And then here we go. Some final confirmation from fellow writers here. Oh, this is the beer garden, by the way. That's what the finish line looks like. And remember I said on your bib there's a ticket for a free food item and a free souvenir. These are people getting their souvenir item. Yeah, and the food items could be like ice cream or yakisoba or tacos, whatever is out there. And again, you're going to finish smiling like this, right? Because that's what I kept talking about. So you came to the class, you know what STP is about, but it looks like start to finish, the amount of support that's out there, the training that it's going to take, and the minimum amount of training that's going to take. And again, you've got other writers in here who haven't registered yet. So if some of you want to take advantage of the 5-pack, get together in that back corner before you leave. And then just find other people that you might want to train with that are here. And congratulations for taking the first step. And we'll see you out there.